Hi, I'm Chris Lewis, firefighter for the Lakeville Fire Department, and welcome to this edition of On Call. The goal of this program is to educate and inform the citizens of Lakeville about how their all-volunteer fire department trains in response to emergencies. Let's take a look at what's coming up on this edition of On Call. We'll show you how firefighters are using a pool to train for a water rescue. Next, Fire Chief Mike Meyer tells us how the Relief Association was able to give out dozens of stovetop fire stops in the effort to prevent kitchen fires. Then, firefighter Josh Ruppert from Station 3 answers a viewer question in Ask the Firefighter. I will get you caught up on the latest happenings around the fire department, and Spot the Fire Dog finds out how firefighters deal with the cold weather. We like our water here in Minnesota. Whether it's enjoying one of our 10,000 lakes, wading through a river, or swimming in a backyard pool, we make the most out of our area waterways. But unfortunately, sometimes being around all this water turns tragic and first responders are needed to help. Recently, the fire department trained for such an incident at the Kenwood Trails pool, where rookies and veteran firefighters learned about techniques of a water rescue. Joining us tonight is Brian Cluck, captain from Station 1. Brian, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
So what are we doing at a pool for training?
Well, this evening we are training for ice rescue.
Okay, in a pool.
In a pool. It gives us a controlled environment to work with our new firefighters and our existing firefighters to get them the opportunity to be comfortable with our water rescue equipment.
Normally we train in a lake for something like this, am I right?
Yes. For our regular training, we will train in a lake in either open water, cold water, or in the winter in an ice rescue situation. The reason, again, we're using the pool is it gives us a controlled environment to work in so we can more closely work with our new firefighters and existing firefighters to manage the type of training that they're getting and to ensure that they have the training skills down as they should.
Okay, so will we be training in lakes then later this winter, do you know? Or?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of training are we doing in the pool specifically?
We're working with our new rookie firefighters and our existing firefighters to be comfortable in our water rescue suits. Again, we have them in a controlled environment. We can get them in the water. We can walk them through how to do different type of rescue situations, how to make their way out, how to effect a rescue, and make their way back in a controlled environment.
Okay, because I know we were using like the backboard in water. When would we use something like that? Would we use that in the pool?
We could use it in a pool situation here. Say if somebody dove into the shallow end and they had neck or back injury, we could float them out. We can use the longboard to effect a rescue, get them out of the water. If somebody fell out of a boat, fell off of some type of watercraft in open water in a lake, we can use that training in open water.
Okay, and then we had the ring and things like that too, am I right?
Yes. The ring we use for individuals who are conscious but not able to self-rescue, or somebody's not able to get out to them. They're primarily designed for an ice rescue situation where somebody's fallen through the ice, where we make our way out, get into the water around them, get the ring around them, and effect a rescue.
Yeah, because I know that we trained actually tonight with maybe a combative victim.
Yes, we train with conscious, unconscious, and a combative victim. We can run into pretty much anything when we get into these rescue situations.
Okay, so what kind of challenges do we have in the Mustang suits that we call them, those big yellow Gumby looking suits?
For starters, they're very difficult to hear in. You really need to be close to your partners in order to communicate. That's why we use hand signals as we're out quite a ways. If we get into a rescue situation where we're out on a lake or we're out 100, 200 feet, verbal communication is near impossible, especially if you're out in the winter and it's windy. That's why we use the hand signals that we've been practicing throughout the evening here.
Right, because we wouldn't be using radios in water.
No, we wouldn't be using radios in the water.
No. So then, now we designed with a big team, but we are trained to do this with minimal staff, am I right?
Yes. We can do this with just a couple of firefighters. We need one firefighter in the water. We need just a handful of crew on shore that can assist in tendering the rope and becoming a haul crew once we've effected a rescue. We're working on getting that individual out of the water.
Okay. So when we work in the pool, is this something that we're going to start doing routinely, or is this kind of a unique once in a while?
This is something we're going to try and do more routinely. Again, it gives us that controlled environment to help our firefighters work through any training issues they might have, and and it also gives them an opportunity to get a little bit of physical fitness in after the fact, as you can see behind us.
So those big gummy suits that we have, why do we have those instead of like our regular gear?
Well, the Mustang rescue suits, they isolate us in our own little environment. The advantage to those is we can function in a cold weather environment, so we get in the ice water. We're not affected to as great a degree as if we were to just jump in with a personal flotation device and or just jump in to try and effect a rescue. It keeps us safe, it keeps our body temperatures up, and we don't run the risk of hypothermia or any type of physical injury to our firefighters if we're working on a rescue.
Okay, and our regular bunker gear would not.
No, it is not thermal protective in that fashion. If we were to jump in the water in the winter with your bunker gear on, you'd be very cold very quickly.
Would it sink?
Eventually it will.
Okay.
If you have a personal flotation device on, you will float, but it will become increasingly difficult as that turnout gear saturates to maneuver around and to try and swim or float around.
Yeah, and I know that's one of the advantages I found with the Mustang suit is being able to actually get under somebody and raise them up with the buoyancy.
They act as a giant flotation device, and they keep you semi-buoyant as you're working out towards your victim.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us here tonight at the pool, and hopefully we have more trainings like this.
You're welcome.
When we come back, Fire Chief Mike Meyer shows us how the Fire Relief Association is giving back to the community.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
Welcome to another edition of Chief's Corner. I'm Fire Chief Mike Meyer, and I'm joined tonight by Engineer Jeff Denny from Station 3. Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Jeff Denny is one of our relief board members, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about the history of the relief first. So tell me, what does the relief board do for the fire department?
Well, Mike, the relief board primarily manages the pension funds for the firefighters on the department. And we're also there in times of need for our fellow firefighters for life-changing events and things like that.
Okay. And mention the pension part of it. Let's talk a little bit about that as far as, so a firefighter or somebody joins a fire department, they get paid per call, but there is a benefit at the end if they stay around for 20 years. So kind of walk me through a little bit of that.
Well, that's exactly right. A rookie firefighter, when he comes on, we are paid on-call department. They get paid half that call fee until they're done with their probationary period of 2 years. But a firefighter is, there is a stipend at the end if they do 20 years. But at 7 years, there is a small pension. There's the formula we use. So it's 7, 10, 15, 20 years.
So the relief does some fundraisers. The one that we do every July is the waffle breakfast. So walk me through what the proceeds are. When we raise money for that, what do we use that for in the department?
Well, Chief, the proceeds from that goes to the general fund for the fire department, and that those funds are used primarily if there's a medical emergency, something like that in the family. We'll buy flowers for the family, or if they have a baby blanket, shadow boxes for retiring firefighters, things like that.
Okay. And then also each station gets to host a Christmas party.
Yes.
So there's money there that they get to help offset the cost for that. Usually somebody hosts it and it buys food for them or something like that, correct?
Yes, it's something we look forward to every year.
Okay. And then the new one that we added was the Fire on Ice golf that was held at the Chart House.
Right.
So what did walk me through what we did with that one as far as...
Well, that was pretty exciting, and I'm glad you're asking. Last year was our inaugural Fire on Ice event. It was a joint effort between the Chart House, the 30 Days Foundation, and Lakeville Fire Department. And it was just a great way to get together with the community, play golf on the lake, and raise funds for the 30 Days Foundation, which in turn donated all proceeds back to the Lakeville Fire Relief Association. And we in turn bought fire safety equipment for people out in the local community.
Okay, and one of those items that we did buy that was in the news release recently was the fire stop. So
Yep.
kind of tell me a little bit about those and kind of how we came to that decision, I guess.
Again, that's a good point, good question. Our fire marshal did some data mining and finding out, what we've been seeing out there, maybe that unreported situations. We found that kitchen fires was something that we're seeing quite frequently. And we thought the fire stop was a great cost-effective fire extinguisher that mounts up underneath the vent hood that once there's heat, flame from a grease fire, it extinguishes the fire. So it's a win-win type. Once we had the donations from the event, we took the purchased fire stops and hand-delivered them over to a local apartment complex.
So instead of us going to a full-blown kitchen fire, now we have smoke in the residence or smoke in an apartment in this case.
Right.
And we just have to do some cleanup versus having to deal with the other side of that equation.
Right, exactly.
So, and we are planning our second one. So when is that, and any information on that one for us?
This year, we have our first annual Fire and Ice event scheduled the 28th of February at the Chart House, open to the public. Tickets can be purchased at the door. More information about it can be found on the Lakeville Fire Department website or on the LFD Facebook page. Of course, we're always accepting local donations and sponsorship, but also a business or individual can purchase a hole on the golf course for a nominal amount. There's going to be chili, a band, beverages, and play 9 holes of golf out on the lake.
All right. And then we're planning to do the same thing that we did last year as far as the proceeds from
Yes,
that.
absolutely.
We're going to turn back and highlight an area that we found through more data as far as that, and purchase some more fire safety equipment for within our community.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining me today on the Chief's Corner.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Chief. LFD has responded to a variety of calls recently, and here are a few examples of what's been happening around the fire department. There was a major structure fire in town in the beginning of December. The call came in as smoke coming from a garage. All 4 stations were called out to respond. When first responders arrived, they did observe smoke coming from an attached garage. Firefighters quickly started to set up for this to get worse. Soon the smoke started to get darker and darker, and suddenly flames were coming from the structure. Firefighters were able to prevent the fire from spreading to the entire home, but there was substantial smoke and water damage throughout the structure. Everyone did escape from the home, and no one was injured from the incident. It does appear that the fire did start in the garage, but the cause of the fire is under investigation. While crews were at that last structure fire, a call came in for a kitchen fire on the south end of town. Firefighters from Station 1 were able to respond in a brush truck along with firefighters from Apple Valley, since all of LFD's resources were at the other fire. The homeowner was using the stove, and suddenly there were flames coming from the oven. Luckily, this homeowner had a fire extinguisher and was able to put out the fire on her own. Interesting tidbit about this call is that the homeowner just had her fire extinguisher checked out the day before this incident. As the chief explained in this earlier, kitchen fires are the most common fire we see. Always have a fire extinguisher close by or purchase the fire stop to react quicker than you can. Last episode, we told you about a small plane that crashed at Air Lake Airport. Well, we were called out again for another incident in early December when a small plane flipped over onto its top while landing. Luckily, the 2 occupants of the aircraft were not injured, but it did close down the airport for a while. Fuel was leaking, so crews secured aircraft by shutting off a fuel valve and disabled the ignition and electrical systems. They then assisted airport crews by righting the aircraft and helped with general cleanup. Soon after, the airport was reopened. A few other calls that LFD has responded to recently include a dryer fire at a group home. The dryer had some sort of an electrical malfunction, causing a small fire in the laundry room. Happy to report nobody was injured. LFD responded to an incident at a house in northern Lakeville where a phone charger started a small fire. The fire was contained to a bedroom and did not spread to the rest of the house. We have responded to a number of gas leaks lately. Luckily, nothing serious has resulted from these types of calls. The leading cause for vehicle accidents is distracted driving. Anything from eating to grooming to using a device takes your eyes and attention away from actually driving your vehicle. This driver found out the hard way when his water bottle fell down by his feet and he attempted to retrieve it. Next thing he knew, he had blown through a stop sign and hit another vehicle driving through. As if that wasn't bad enough, after his SUV did a 180 and stopped in the middle of the intersection, the vehicle started on fire. Soon the entire SUV was burning. Luckily, the driver was able to get out without injury, but his vehicle was a total loss. The occupants of the other vehicle needed medical treatment from paramedics. Let this be a good reminder to all to keep your eyes and mind on driving. LFD recently borrowed a forcible door trainer from the Inver Grove Heights Fire Department. This device allows firefighters to experience different scenarios when trying to breach a doorway. This is a great example of departments sharing resources to control the cost of training firefighters. LFD has a fleet of over 19 fire vehicles. Most fire trucks have a life expectancy somewhere between 20 to 25 years. While not every year do we purchase a new truck, this year we are replacing one of our brush trucks. This new truck will be housed at Station 3, and the old one will be sold to the highest bidder. While our trucks don't usually have a lot of miles on them, age, maintenance costs, and the actual time they are running are some of the major factors when deciding when to replace a piece of equipment. The next truck to get replaced is 26-year-old Ladder 4. A new ladder truck is finishing being built and should be in service sometime this winter. And that's just some of the things happening around the fire department.
Wake the sun, tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
Hi, I'm Josh Ruppert, firefighter out of Station 3, and today's Ask the Firefighter question comes from Brent of Rochester, Minnesota. And he asks, what are the regulations for hydrant placement? Thanks for your question, Brent. While there are no legal requirements for fire hydrant placement, there are several city recommendations for where hydrants are to be placed. These recommendations come from a board with representation from 10 states in the Great Lakes and Upper Mississippi River areas of the country. When it comes to the location of a hydrant, they are to be provided at each intersection and at intermediate points between intersections. Generally, the hydrant spacing may range from 350 feet to 650 feet, depending on the area being served. When a developer is going to develop a piece of property, they must submit plans to the city about where they will be locating fire hydrants. The engineering staff here at the city will review these plans and make sure they are meeting the guidelines. If there are concerns or questions about the placement or lack of placement of hydrants, they will often consult the fire department to make sure there's adequate hydrants in the area being developed. Now, most hydrants you see are public, which means they are owned and maintained by the city. But there are some private hydrants located in the city, such as in a private residential or commercial industrial area. Even though these hydrants are not owned by the city does have say in their placement. Thanks for your question, Brent. If you have a question for Ask the Firefighter, use the contact information on your screen.
It is I, Spot the Fire Dog, because I like to spot and stamp out the fires. Hey, it's good to see everybody. And as you all know, the winter weather season is upon us. And I was sitting around thinking, oh, ouch. I was thinking, how does the fire department cope with the cold weather situations? So, you know what? I decided it's too cold for Spot to go outside. So you know what I've got? I've got my handy dandy teleporter. So I'm going to teleport to the fire station. So, because I don't want to be in the cold and freeze my paws off. So hey, let's go to the fire station. Whoa! No! Ah, look at at this. It's cold outside. I don't want to be out here. I don't have my muff. Let's go to someplace a little warmer, like inside. No! No! Hey, look at that. I'm in an island of paradise. I'm heading back here after I get done talking to the firefighter. No! No! Where am I now? Why am I standing in front of a cow with a bucket on its head? Oh, boy. No! Hey, it's Captain Brian here at station number 1. How are you, Captain Brian?
I'm good, but where did you come from, Spot?
Oh, I feel like I've been all over the place. I've been using my teleporter today, and I think I need to bring it in for a tune-up. Last time I get one of these guys at the dollar store. But hey, I got a question for you, Captain Brian. I was sitting outside, and you know how cold it is outside. I'm wondering how firefighters deal with the cold. Like, first of all, how does your gear handle getting all wet and frozen?
Well, our gear does get very wet when we're inside of a fire spot. When we come outside when it's very cold, yes, it does freeze very quickly. Here, we got a dry rag. Now, when our gear is inside of the station, it's nice and dry.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about it freezing. We don't have to worry about it being wet. Now here, we have a frozen rag. Now, this is what our gear does.
That's frozen.
Yes, it is. This is what our gear does when it gets outside and it's cold and wet and we're standing outside for a while.
How can you fight fires when you're frozen?
It's very difficult. We have to keep our firefighters inside and warm as much as we can, whether they be inside our trucks or inside of the house when there's a fire.
Very good. Now, obviously, from this demonstration, your gear freezes up. How about some of the mechanical equipment?
Well, Spot, one of the things that we use to put out a fire, obviously, is our fire hoses, and this is a nozzle that goes on the end of the hose. Well, in the summer, this is fine. It can sit outside. We don't have to worry about it freezing. Well, in the winter, when it gets very cold, this, like anything else, will freeze.
Wow. Now, how about the water? And now we all know that by looking at lakes, waters, ponds, and streams, that the water eventually freezes. Will the water in your hose eventually freeze when you're fighting the fires?
Yes, it will, Spot.
Wow. And how long would that take? Does it just need, if you just leave the hose there on the ground?
Well, it depends on how long it's been sitting outside, but eventually it'll freeze. That's why when we have these outside in the winter, we actually leave them open and let a little water run out of them so there's water flowing inside, and it's less likely that it'll freeze on us.
Oh, so that's the key. You keep the water moving, and that's why it doesn't freeze.
We do, yes.
What happens to your firefighter gear, you know, like after a fire? You know, in a place where maybe there's lots of smoke and maybe debris on it? Do you guys take your gear home to get it washed?
Oh, no, it's too dirty to take home. I don't think the wives would be happy if we brought that home and washed it in the washing machine at home.
I like that one. Is there some place here where you wash it?
We have a washing machine here, actually, Spot. Do you want to take a look at it?
Yeah, could you demonstrate how you do that? That'd be fantastic.
We certainly can.
All right, here we go. Ho, ho, ho. All right, the Captain Brian. We've now moved into the area where we have the amazing, the exciting washing machine where you wash your turnout gear. Tell us about it, Captain Brian.
Well, Spot, this is our industrial washing machine that we use to wash both our towels for washing the trucks and our turnout gear.
Very good. Now, do you guys climb in there with your turnout gear on? Hey, is there a firefighter in there? Hey, buddy, are you in there? Girl, are you in there?
No, Spot, we don't get inside of there. You can go inside if you'd like to go for a ride, but normally we don't go inside of there.
No way. I don't like going to the puppy beauty parlor.
No, not at all?
It scares me.
Okay.
Yeah, my tail tucked between my legs and I get scared. Very good. Now, how often do you have to wash your gear there?
We need to wash our gear at a minimum every 6 months.
Why is that?
Well, that is an NFPA requirement, and we have to make sure that the gear is cleaned. That way it's not carrying any contaminants or anything that we might have picked up inside of a fire or at any of our other fire scenes.
Very good. Now, once you wash these guys, what do? Do you have like a laundry line that you hang out the back of the fire station here?
Well, normally when you wash your laundry, you take it out of the washer and you put it in the dryer.
Yeah.
Well, we cannot tumble dry this. That's what they normally use for washing your towels and such. We can't tumble dry our gear, so we have to put it on an air dryer.
Oh, do you guys have one of those here?
We do, yes.
Let's go see it, man.
Come on.
I can hardly wait. Woo-hoo! Ah, Captain Brian, what is this thing? I thought you were going to show me how you dry the turnout gear. This looks like somebody took an erector set and went crazy.
Well, Spot, this is how we dry our gear.
Well, how does it work?
Well, it has a fan inside of it, and it forces air through these tubes, and it comes down and comes out of the tubes at the end here, and they all have holes in them, and it dries our gear from the inside out.
Wow, how efficient is that? How long does it take to actually dry the uniforms then?
Well, it depends on how wet our turnout gear is, but it can take anywhere from 2 to 12 hours.
Oh, very good. Now, in the old days, when you guys used to hang it outside on the line, no, I'm just kidding, they didn't hang it out on the line. How long did it take you to dry a turnout gear then?
Well, it's actually not far from the truth, because we used to let our gear air dry. It would sit inside of the station, and we'd have to wait till it was dry, and it would take a couple days.
Oh, but how about if it was like hot and humid during the summer? I bet you those things never dried.
Oh, it took a long time.
Very good. Well, Captain Brian, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to show me what happens to gear in the cold and how you wash the gear and hear how you dry it. But I'm still kind of cold. Is there any way I can warm up in this fire station?
You know, I'm a little on the chilly side too here, Spot, so I think what I'm going to do here, I'm going to throw this on.
Yeah?
Because it's a little chilly out.
But
and
that's not...
I actually have a spot for you.
Really?
Spot.
Because I don't have turnout gear like you. Where can we go?
No, I have a spot over here. Come on.
Okay, let's go. Oh, so Captain Brian, what is this?
Well, this is where I'd like to have you jump inside here, Spot, and this will keep you nice and warm.
But this looks like an old dryer. You weren't using these for your turnout gear, were you?
Well, this is the dryer that we use for our towels.
Ah, very good. Well, you know what? I may need a little hand, so grab me by the top of the head and heave ho, Captain Brian.
Ready?
Yeah. Whoa! Ah! Hey, wait a minute. What? Oh, hey, oh, oh, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, hey. Oh, it is nice. Oh, nice and warm in here. But, hey, Captain Brian, would you go get Meyer?
Hey, this is much better.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of On Call. If you have questions, comments, an idea for the program, or would like to send a question in for Ask the Firefighter, please call 952-985-4700 or use the email address at the bottom of your screen. Thanks for joining us, and all fire units are clear.